Good evening. I'd like to thank World Vision for bringing me here. I'm actually on a 2 weeks holiday from my work. I'm actually, disability work is voluntary work that I do. I work with the National Research Institute, and so what I'm actually going to be talking about is the issues of disability in PNG. Papua New Guinea is a blessed country with many beautiful people and abundant natural resources. It is a country comprised of nearly 1,000 tribes with just 6 million people and over 800 languages and culture. Over 85% of its population live in the rural areas. Most of these people subsist on the land and sea for their livelihood. Our communities are centered on communal system where plentiful harvests and catches of the day are often shared. Tribal and clan integrity was often intact, and the success of one person is the joy of all the community people. Caring for the needy has been part of our culture, as it comes with a lot of respect and is often associated with blessings, especially for the younger generation if they show care for the elderly and the disabled. Persons are seen as assets and are valued. If one person from this village is killed by another clan, communities will mobilize and avenge the death of the other person, of that person. Today, this form of social safety net system is now eroding. There is no rule of respect anymore, and this has affected a lot of people with disability. Many have resorted to begging on the streets for survival. Recently, I went walking on the streets of Port Moresby and decided to talk to some of those who are begging on the streets. The next few slides show some of them and those that I have encountered since I joined the disability movement. I would like us to read into their souls. This is Ruth Peter. She's 20 years old. She has not gone to school. She lives in the village and is helped by her family to make her garden so she can have something to sell to provide for herself. This other person, he was involved in an accident and had his legs amputated. He is married and needs to support his family, so he sits on the streets of Ley selling peanuts to have some form of income for his family survival. Manoka, she's on my left and your right. She's 50 years old. She's a seamstress and works with Cheshire Homes as a receptionist. Her husband is visually impaired and lives at home. She lives with her parents. They live on a house on a post. She is in a wheelchair. The husband is visually impaired, and you can imagine how they get into the house. The other person, Reginald, he's 20 years old. He never went to school. He has talent in drawing, and he's a singer. He says he sits on the street to collect money to help him further his talent in singing. This is Katie. She's the 19-year-old. She was enrolled at the Red Cross Special Education Resource Center, but due to no money, she had to leave school to beg on the street on behalf of the family. I stand before you today as a person with disability, but at the same time, a highly educated person. I often wondered what life would be if I had no education. Many people with disability, and especially women with disability, do not have access to schooling. Denied better health care services, they are abused and discriminated. These are the silent majority of people living with a disability and are the invisibles of society. They do not seem to have a name, and they are claimed, particularly women, as part of the women population of Papua New Guinea. Their needs are not specifically addressed when discussing women's development issues. A lot of developmental interventions are reaching our shores, but people with disability cannot see any tangible results because they do not seem to be featuring in development agendas. I would like to pose a few questions for our discussions. How can we create development interventions that will contribute to poverty alleviations? What is the profile of a person with disability? Living in poverty. Those people that I've shown you, they look healthy, but they are living in poverty because they don't have access to good housing. They don't go to school. How can you get a person with disability out of the street and out of poverty? How can we replace the social safety net system with development intervention? I'd like to end by quoting what our great advocate, Dame Carol Kidu, says. She also affirms what I have just talked about. In our traditional society, our forefathers have, over time, developed a system to care for our disabled. Times have, however, changed, and our ways have also changed. Disabled people, mostly in towns and cities, are left to fend for themselves. It is thus important that in our determination to seek tangible development for the able in our society, we do not leave this group of people out in the cold. Rather, we should legislate for their rights, and in doing so, guarantee the care of a group of unfortunate people who have the same rights as other people. After all, they are human just as we are, being created in the image and likeness of the Lord God Almighty, our Creator. Thank you.